As some know, Frankenstein is my favorite book. I fell in love with its structure, its themes, its characters. It is my favorite depiction of an artist's obsession in any piece of media ever. So some people in the comments recommended me the 2011 Stageplay with Benedict Cumberbatch, and I was like, okay. Wow. Right off the bat, it smashes through the original framing device of the book and tells it from the monster's perspective. It's a brilliant choice because I think even if you didn't know Frankenstein, the way they structured it would work. But because that story is very well known, that starting with the birth of the monster and being from his perspective and him not knowing his origin and being with his journey of discovery, it's almost the opposite of the book in a way, because in the book, most of it is told through Frankenstein's letter, and then partway through it shifts into the creature's perspective. So this takes the opposite approach where it's mostly the creature's perspective, and then partway through we kind of see Frankenstein's side of things. The way they handle the monster is fantastic. He actually feels inhuman and unsettling through one awesome and kind of grotesque makeup, but I think most of it comes from just how unsettling his movements are. His movements are so inhuman and unnatural and almost look sickly that you can kind of feel why people are revolted by him and recoil, which, makes the story work. In most adaptations, he just kind of looks like a dude, where the fact that he can't interact with society just doesn't really come through. And I think this adaptation nails that the best so far that I've seen. A consequence of the framing device is that we have an adaptation that actually focuses on the second half of the novel, which is very rare. Most adaptations spend a lot of its time in the creation of the monster itself and that part of the story, and then the monster's other side and him being with that family and the blind man. But once Frankenstein and the monster meet, most adaptations kind of fly off the rails and go their own routes or are very rushed with it. This is the opposite approach, where it downplays the first half of the story, like Frankenstein creating the monster, and kind of almost condenses it to one dream monologue, which is great. I think that monologue gets across the mad scientist energy of Frankenstein, of his thirst for solving the equation of life, and then that, like, it works. But that it's kind of condensed into one intense monologue, where the rest of it is more focused on the confrontation between Frankenstein and the monster. And I love that. That's my favorite part of the novel. And most adaptations kind of rush through it, and they linger on it. This is the first adaptation I have seen that is passionate about being faithful to the second half. Even to the point of Frankenstein going off to England, which even faithful adaptations usually skip. You can feel the writer's passion for that part of the story, which I resonate with because I love that part of the story. And as a result, no adaptation captures the confrontation between Frankenstein and the creature the way this does. In this respect, it blows every other adaptation out of the water. It's masterful. Every scene between Frankenstein and the creature is brilliant. It captures the intensity, the moral ambiguity, and also the logic. The writing is fair. The points they make to each other are consistently hard-hitting and legitimate, which is extremely notable in comparison to Kenneth Branagh's overly sympathetic Frankenstein and especially Del Toro's favoritism for the creature. Bluntly, how I felt watching this stage play is what Del Toro wanted to invoke in me. And I'm almost certain he was inspired by it. The stage play has the blind man teach the creature how to read directly, instead of the creature watching him teach a little girl through a crack in the wall. This is a change that Del Toro would also implement to great effect, and it's a change that I just like in general. The blind man interaction with the creature is just very wholesome in both adaptations, and really well acted in both adaptations. There's just a great camaraderie there. But this is also the point where these adaptations diverge. In Del Toro's vision, the monster stays innocent. When he's rejected, he doesn't fly off the handle and start killing people and setting houses on fire. He doesn't really turn to revenge in Del Toro's version at all, which is a core thing in the book and in the stage play. The stage play allows the creature to walk that book accurate dark path, but also keep his book accurate sympathetic portrayal. He has both. He's nuanced. Like you feel for him, you sympathize for him, but he still does terrible things, and it feels more real and more sincere that way. The oversimplification of the story that Del Toro uses really turned me off. I really liked the movie, but that filing down of the moral complexities of the book just hurt that story for me, especially with Victor's character. Del Toro's version is kind of cartoonishly evil. The stage play has a very interesting portrayal of Frankenstein. It's not book accurate. In the book, once the creature is made, Frankenstein has a kind of revulsion for his work that never goes away, and is kind of a shell of his former thirst for science person he was prior is gone. In this, he's still the mad scientist. Like, he feels bad about certain things and is revolted by certain things, but that part of him is still very present, which is an interesting way to play it, and made the dynamic between the creature and him very interesting. It's not the same, but it is similar. But the key with the Frankenstein is that he felt like a person. He wasn't not a good person, and there was terrible in plenty of scenes, but he didn't feel cartoonish to me. Like, he clearly had a specific character that worked really well with what that story was trying to tell. I love that energy. He's the version of Frankenstein that you most believe could have made a monster. Like, he feels like that kind of genius that breaks the boundaries of what previously understood. You know, he has that, like, Tesla, Edison energy running through him in this adaptation, and I appreciated it, and I think it worked well. This is also helped by the acting, which across the board was excellent. Especially Frankenstein and the creature were amazing. And also the old man. The old man was great. Those three were just, from an acting perspective, were just so good and really intense to watch. I loved it. Loved it. I think the set design also really helped. It had a very minimalistic approach, but there were some really cool design choices. They are one of the only adaptations I've ever seen that almost rejects the lightning from the sky thing that almost every other movie does, and does almost like an embryo coming out of the embryo kind of thing, which is very fun, and I appreciate trying something new, because the lightning from the sky thing is not something directly in the book. That's just something that every single adaptation loves to throw in, and I appreciate that they went a different route. I will say, my one criticism of the play is really the opening 5 minutes. Like I, the opening 5 minutes is the monster like bursts out of his embryo sac thing, and then is like learning to walk and rolls around on the ground a lot for like 5 minutes. And I get what they're going for, and I think like I'm on board with what they're going for. It just needed to be like 2 minutes shorter. It just went on a little too long. I get it. I get what they're going for. It didn't need to be that long. It felt a little self-indulgent to have that whole thing be that extended. But you know, I get it, and I think in small quantities, I really liked the way the story almost turned into contemporary dance in a sense. The way he moved, both in the opening 5 minutes and also in the dream sequence he has, like imagining the prospective bride of his, has like a modern contemporary dance feel. And I liked that. I think it was cool. Needed to be shorter, but it was cool. But yeah, but that's what I think of the stage play. It might be my favorite adaptation because it focused on the themes of the story that I love, that most adaptations only touch on. My favorite part is the dynamic between Frankenstein and the creature. This gives that in spades. There's like 4 conversations they have, and every single one is great. Like just cutting that out of the play, and just that is my favorite interpretation of the book put to a visual media ever. Like it just captures how I feel about it so well. The intensity, the logic, the back and forth. It's great. I love it. I appreciate that a lot. But what did you think of the stage play? Tell me in the comments below. And if you would like to see more reviews like this, please subscribe. And if you want to read about a different man-made monster, do check out my book, Bone Song, Diary of a Sentient Sword. For the holidays, I am releasing 1 chapter a week for free in the link below. Happy reading, guys. Take care.